On Thursday, April 17, 2025, the federal government of Nigeria held the 6th edition of its ongoing ministerial press briefing series at the National Press Center, Abuja. This initiative, under the coordination of the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, continues to serve as a vital platform for transparent governance and public accountability. Presiding over the session was the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris. The Minister, in his opening address, emphasized the government's enduring commitment to open communication with citizens and the role of the media as a critical partner in national development.
The media will always be powerful stakeholders in nation building and in our democratic evolution. And for us as a government, we will continue to accord you the necessary respect and support for you to carry out your jobs. Since we kicked off in February 2025 this year, we have hosted ministers representing a total of 7 ministries, providing first-hand facts and figures to Nigerians at home and abroad on the policies and programs of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. I was in France recently for the Nigerian Business Forum hosted by the French government Business France Enterprise. On the sidelines of those activities also, I met with the executives of United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, to further fine-tune the imminent takeoff of the first of its kind Media and Information Literacy Institute that Nigeria will be hosting here in Abuja. That institute will go a long way towards strengthening Nigeria's media environment and supporting journalists to carry out their functions even more effectively. Indeed, the goal is also to train some of our young men and women to identify and also know where there is fake news.
The focus of the 6th briefing was the Nigerian power sector, an essential pillar of sustainable development and economic transformation. The Honorable Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabu, delivered the keynote presentation, providing a detailed and structured overview of recent progress, reforms, and key challenges in the sector.
If we look at the power sector ecosystems, there are basically 3 layers in summary. The first layer, which includes the presidency and multiple federal ministries, are responsible for policy direction and policy formulation. And we have the second layer, which has to do with government agencies, parastatals, and commissions, which are more like what I would describe as foot soldiers at ensuring implementation of government policies, policy directives across the power sector. Then the third layer is the power sector operators, which include the gas companies, the power generation companies, and the power distribution companies.
The minister reported a significant improvement in market liquidity, citing a 70% increase in revenue generation within the sector.
The revenue grew from 1 trillion in 2023 to 1.7 trillion, which is 700 billion increase. And this is the result from the cost-reflected tariff adjustment for Band A customers. And we have just done this for 15% of Nigeria electricity consumers. Market revenue for 2024 rose from 1 trillion in 2023 to 1.7 trillion in 2024. This growth in market revenue is unprecedented, as the highest growth previously achieved in past years have been about 19%. 19% to 70%, I believe, is a commendable growth. Thank you. So what is the impact of this increase in revenue? This positively impacts the reduction of the government's subsidized tariff shortfall by 35%. If you remember, when we made the presentation last year, we envisaged that government subsidy will be about 3 trillion for the year 2024, based on the old tariffs.
The minister announced a record power generation milestone. Nigeria's capacity has now reached 6,003 megawatts, the highest in national history.
One of the major focuses of the power sector is to improve generation and improve energy security. Over the past months, we have continuously made progress in generation through some of the initiatives I will be highlighting. This is key to achieve energy security. On 2nd of March 2025, Nigeria reached a remarkable generation available capacity of 6,003 megawatts, marking the first time this level had been recorded in the country's history. This indicates a growth of 1,600 megawatts, nearly 40% growth since we assumed office at the ministry. Thank you.
This progress is being reinforced by several flagship programs, including the Nigeria Energy Compact, the Presidential Power Initiative (PPI), and the Presidential Metering Initiative.
Our commitment to energy access was further demonstrated when we signed the Nigeria Energy Compact in January in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. This initiative, which is led by the World Bank and the African Development Bank, aligns with our aspiration to expand energy generation and access to our people. The initiative is called Mission 300. It's an initiative of the World Bank and the AFDB. And the target of Mission 300 is to extend energy access to an additional 300 million Africans between now and year 2030, out of the 600 million currently lacking access. Beyond TCA, we have the activities of the Presidential Power Initiative, which is being executed by the FGN Power Company. The pilot phase delivered infrastructure across 13 locations, adding 700 megawatts to the national grids. We have the approval of the President and the FEC, that's Federal Executive Council, to proceed to phase 1 of the PPI project. Contracts have been signed with Siemens, SIMEC, S-Ready, and Power China, and financing arrangements are at advanced stages to support implementation. In the distribution segment, we have made significant strides in closing the metering gap. The launch of the Presidential Metering Initiative, which is backed by a 700 billion naira FAC allocation, two fundamental pillars that ensure fair billing, boost revenue recovery, and bring power to underserved communities. These initiatives are transforming our distribution landscape from estimated consumption to measured accountability, and from energy exclusion to universal access. We target 1.1 million meters by the end of 2025. The procurement process has started, I can assure you, and we have a plan for 2 million meters annually for the next 5 years, and the procurement process has started. If we add 2 million meters annually for the next, it's 10 million meters, plus 1.1 for this year, that's 11.1 million meters. This will cut off our meter gap, which currently starts at about 6 to 7 million. And in addition to that, through the World Bank funded Distribution Sector Recovery Program, DSREP, over 3.2 million meters will be procured and installed alongside meter data management solution for DISCO optimization. Today, we have completed the procurement process of DSREP. 75,000 meters have already arrived in April, and we are expecting additional 200,000 meters in the month of May. Before the end of this year, 1.3 million meters will come from the World Bank funded DSREP program. Lastly, the distribution companies are currently undergoing restructuring aimed at enhancing service delivery and operational efficiency. Furthermore, new acquisitions and management modifications have been implemented among the DISCOs, while the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission is reinforcing the performance measurement matrix for the discos to ensure they perform up to expectation. So, those with fears about meter gap, you should be rest assured this will be a thing of history very soon. We are taking practical steps to ensure that meters are acquired en masse and we close the gap. So, now, the PPI projects also cover infrastructure improvements in the distribution segments. We have awarded these contracts. They are not restricted to translation alone, but they will work on building new lines, distribution lines, injection substations, and supply of distribution transformers. And 2025 appropriation too has provision for transformer intervention by federal government for those communities without transformer.
The minister went ahead to announce the creation of the National Independent System Operator, NISO.
The establishment of the National Independent Service Operator, NISO, marks a major milestone. This ensures clarity of purpose and independence of the system and market operators. It is important to note that this initiative has been attempted severally in the past, with failures recorded, but under the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the board of NISO was inaugurated by the Vice President on the 8th of April, which will now independently manage grid operations to enhance efficiency and reliability. Let me take a second to enlighten us a bit on this, why this is very important to us in achieving stability of the national grid. The TCN, Transmission Company of Nigeria, as we all know, which has been fraught with a lot of difficulties and poor performance in the past, until recently when all these reforms are being carried out. They perform basically two functions. Transmission Service Provision, which is TSP. That's the provision of transmission infrastructures for the Nigerian national grid, which is provision of high tension cables, provision of towers, provision of substations, transformers, and all sorts of that. Then we have the system and market operators, who are the ones responsible for transporting energy itself from the point of generation to the point of distribution. Is that you have the case of the provider of a vehicle and the driver of the vehicle. We have matched them together in the past. There is no clear-cut distinction between the activities of the independent system operator and the transmission service provider. So if the driver is not driving well, we don't know whether it is the driver who does not know how to drive, or it is the vehicle that is driving that is not good. Now we are separating the two functions. We will measure the provider of the vehicle separately, and we will measure the driver separately. When the provider of the vehicle hand over a damaged vehicle to the driver, he will shout and tell me, no, TSP, I don't want this infrastructure, maintain it, replace it, so that I will not be measured based on your damaged vehicle.
Despite notable advancements, the Honorable Minister addressed persistent structural and operational challenges.
Number one is the debt being owed the power generating companies. Today, it stands at 4 trillion naira. Yes, for 2024 alone, it was 1.94 trillion. If not for the Band A tariff increase, we'll have been talking about 3 trillion. From 2015 to 2023, it was 2 trillion. 2 trillion plus another 1.94 in 2024, that's 3.94 trillion. That's 4 trillion debt. If you have not paid for good last supplied, how do you expect me to supply new goods? So we are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Number two, I'll keep saying it, vandalism. This is a menace that we must all fight together, individually and collectively, to stop people from frustrating the transformation efforts of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to transform our power sector. So, the power theft and unpaid bills. Electricity consumers, they should not bypass meters again. they are frustrating distribution companies. And a lot of people have bills that they don't pay. Then the issue of investments. Our power set operators are not investing. We made that mistake in 2013 when we did the privatization. All the distribution companies, they have not injected enough into the sector. They are only milking these companies. So we must do a lot of investment. Government cannot do it alone. So we need a lot of investment. These are the challenges, but we are working around these challenges. The little achievements in the past 18 months was like squeezing water out of the rock. But these challenges are daunting, and we need your support. We need the support of the media too, to help us educate the public that this government is bent on ensuring that the power sector supports the development of all other critical sectors in the country. What can you achieve in agriculture, in health, in education, in defense, in everywhere, without a functional power sector? It's the bedrock for economic growth and national development.
Media interaction and public response. During the interactive session, several key questions were raised.
My name is Akunle Kola Olubeyo. I'm President Nigeria Consumer Protection Network. The first question goes to FG Power, Cement Power Project. I believe that the Cement Power Project is not a free gig. They set a target for 25,000 megawatts under the last administration. What exactly is the problem? Because Nigeria have financial commitment to this.
The Siemens project, yes, it was conceived to achieve 25,000 megawatts. But over what period? It is up to 2027, 2030 or so. And it was meant to start in 2018, 2019. Did it start? No, it did not. So that we have the variation that we have today. So we are not supposed to even be on the pilot stage now. It's supposed to have ended by 2020. But COVID was there in 2020. The death of the champion of Siemens then, the then late Alhaji Kyari, the transition, democratic transition to a new government, everything frustrated the take of that project. That is where we are at this stage. Then lastly, is the issue of funding. You cannot do anything without money. You may have laudable plans, but it's not supported by adequate funding. Those plans will be frustrated. You understand? As of today, we are still talking about the financing arrangement. Even for the phase 1, we have not concluded. The only one we concluded was the pilot phase, which was just about 56 or 60 million euro. So you can see that it's not as easy. Then on the TCN verified debts and the unverified, TCN is owing a lot of contractors. I must tell you that. But government is owing TCN too. If government is owing private generating companies, how much more a company owned by government itself? And how much pressure can TCN put on governments? I've been engaging with the chairman of NAC to ensure that as we are paying and the SC Energy to Mr. President, as we are intending to pay the GENCOs, let also not neglect payment due to TCN so that they can discharge on their obligations.
My name is Sonny Daniel. I work with Vanguard newspaper. It's very easy to come here and read these statistics. You can put statistics together and justify. But let me say that as a Nigerian, I'm sure you drive on the highways in the nights. I always drive through AYA towards Cuba every day. Have you noticed that there is not constant power supply to power the street lights on that road? And that increases the potential for security problem for the country. So, instead of asking you a question, please look into the possibility of making the distribution company that is supplying Abuja to ensure that the least expectation of Nigerians is that they should exempt public power supply from tariff. If not for anything, they should be conscious and concerned about national security. If they had done that, the problem we had in Lagos where Air Force bases were cut off. They said they are owing them 4 billion. That problem wouldn't have happened. Provision of light is a social security service. And Nigeria cannot say that because we are trying to pander to the interests of some capitalists, the Gencos, Discos, and then national security will be jeopardized.
Beyond supplying electricity to the doorsteps of households, offices, businesses, and industries, we also have the responsibility to ensure that electricity supply guarantees safety and security of our highway. I want to refer you to the 2025 appropriation, and you see a line there which has to do with lighting up our highways for safety and security. That's about 25 billion naira provision to actually light up some major highways this year, and I believe this will continue in subsequent appropriation. We have noted it and will ensure we start the process as soon as we start getting budget release.
My question is to the Honorable Minister of Power, and I'm drawing it from the angle of the over 4 trillion naira being owed to generation companies. And when you were talking, Honorable Minister, you made mention of ongoing process to defray this figure. I want to understand, do you have a time limit? Like, is there a time frame to this effect? One being concerned is that just recently, the generation companies issued some tracks on shutting down operations. So I want to know if there are time frames to averting this things, the generation company from shutting down their operation.
These debts are unpaid subsidies of the federal government, which is due to the power generating companies. Almost half of it was inherited, while about half of it came from 2024 operations. That's 4 trillion. And I agree with you, there was a publication in the paper where the companies threatened to shut down their plants. I pray not. There are plans underway to make these payments. While I would not say it will be paid 100%, we will be paying it down gradually. And the mode of payment are in 2 ways. We have some budgetary provisions which will facilitate cash payments, while we are also discussing with the generating companies to give them some guaranteed debt instruments, like a promissory notes, which we will give to them to pay down or defray some of these debts. These promissory notes will be liquid enough for it to be taken to the banks for discounting if they need immediate cash injection. So it's a combination of cash payments and promissory notes. And I can tell you that between now and the end of the year, we're going to pay close to 2 trillion out of these 4 trillion.
The Honorable Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, closed the briefing by expressing appreciation to members of the media for their consistent professionalism and partnership.
Thank you, the Honorable Minister. I think that since the ministerial press briefing started, no one has had this enough time to talk about his sector than your own. But I think it has been very enlightening, very engaging. Nigerians are better informed now. Critical questions have been asked, and the Honorable Minister has asked them. This is part of what we have set out to do, to continue to create this platform so that you continue to engage these ministers, find out more about our government programs and activities, so that at least you'll be better informed. That is the goal of this ministerial press briefing, and we'll continue to do that. Like I said earlier, the goal is that by the midpoint of this administration, that is by May 29, every minister will have come to answer questions from you, Nigerians, so that you'll be better informed, because they are there because of you. Thank you very much. And for you, ladies and gentlemen, our colleagues in the media, for your engagement, continuous engagement. We appreciate that you are a pillar in this journey. We cannot do it without you, and we thank you that each time we call you, you're always here. It's being watched all over the world. I've been receiving comments from around the globe about this program as we are going on. So this shows that Nigerians are better engaged, and we'll continue to do that so that you'll be better informed. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and all of you. Thank you.
The 6th Ministerial Briefing of 2025 stands as a testament to the government's commitment to openness, delivery, and progress. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay committed to Nigeria's progress.